what I took away from Minnesota in the 50s and 60s that has influenced me my whole life was a strong sense of belonging to a community and a certain optimism about how a community can come together through politics and philanthropy to make people's lives better. To put it simply, I learned from Minnesota that politics could work. Indeed, in 1971, the year I graduated high school, Time magazine wrote a cover story with our governor, Wendell Anderson, on the cover, holding up a walleye under the headline, "Minnesota, the state that works." When your senators growing up are called Eugene McCarthy, Walter Mondale, and Hubert Humphrey, when the big companies around you are called 3M, Dayton Hudson, Target, and Control Data, and they believe it is their obligation to build the Symphony Hall and the Tyrone Guthrie Theater, that corporate social responsibility was something they practiced long before it was ever invented, when your congressmen in your overwhelmingly Democratic district are two liberal Republicans, and when your congressman today is the only African-American Muslim in the US Congress, Keith Ellison, who is from St. Louis Park, you grow up believing that politics can actually bring people together, bridge differences, and solve problems. And that is the gift I took from my 18 years growing up in Minnesota. The belief in the possibility, not the certainty, but the possibility that people will do the right thing and the outcome will be win-win for everyone. So if there is a consistent theme to my column, no matter what the issue or problem, it's to show people the avenues and possibilities for compromise and win-win solutions. I know that things can turn out well because I saw it happen in my lifetime. So that's why the title to this chapter, and maybe to my whole career, is Always Looking for Minnesota. Always looking for the middle ground, always hoping to find the better angels from Beirut to Jerusalem to Washington, D.C., but also not being surprised when I don't. I know the world is not Minnesota. You cannot live for a decade in Beirut and Jerusalem and cover wars and massacres and believe that the world is Minnesota. I recognize that pessimists are usually right, and I recognize that even more so after 20 years of writing a column. But I also recognize that all the great change in history was done by optimists, those who saw the possibility for building win-win outcomes, and so I make no apologies for trying to buttress those people and shine a light on their efforts. The world has enough pessimists. I have the optimism corner all to myself. And growing up in Minnesota in the 60s and 70s is where that came from.